Tonight's game. You're doing your best to get a check from Jeff Bezos by hyping up an opportunity to watch the defending Super Bowl champions and potential Super Bowl participants this year in a standalone game, regardless of who they're playing. Globetrotters, Washington Generals. Even when they were playing the Generals, people still watch the Globetrotters. And the Chiefs are the closest things right now to the NFL's version of the Globetrotters. So I'm with you on that. And there is a question as to whether or not we're going to see Mr. Pfizer tonight. He's got an ankle issue. Will he inject it with something so that he can play tonight? I think you just give him the night off. I think you don't push it because I think you can beat the Broncos without Travis Kelce. You don't risk aggravation of the injury. You go forward with the guys you have. But he is questionable. He's the one big name that got injured on Sunday that came back and played, but it's that short week that I think gives you concern. He's been limited in practice, and he's officially questionable, which means it's roughly 50-50 that he's going to play. And since they're at home, we'll find out about 90 minutes before kickoff whether or not he's active. It takes us back to week 1 when we weren't sure whether or not we were going to see Kelce when he had a bone bruise in his knee. It's already been 5 weeks ago, and we found out late afternoon that he wasn't going to play. We'll be watching and waiting all day for news on whether or not Travis Kelce is going to be on the field. But again, it's one thing to not beat the Lions without Kelce at home on a Thursday night. It's another thing to not beat the Broncos without Kelce at home on a Thursday night. I still think the bar is going to be pretty high for the Broncos, even if Kelce doesn't play, Chris.
Well, I hear you there. I do, but I do think you said it right about the Chiefs, right? And they are kind of must-see TV. And I'll say this, I think the Broncos kind of are on another level. It's a little bit more maybe on the dysfunction downside. But, yeah, I mean, come on. They're kind of going through some stuff on their own right now. We're still watching the Russell Wilson, Sean Payton experience, right? There is some positives there. Russell Wilson, if I got this right, it's right now he's the 4th-rated quarterback in football. Not that I put all my stock into that. It's 11 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, right? It doesn't sound right when you put it all out there together like that. You just go, what? Really? He's doing that good? I think the thing is it's kind of been like inconsistent. There's, some good drives with some spots of like, wait, now it's 2, 3 and outs. And of course, I think the biggest thing for Russell Wilson is mistakes in big moments, not being clutch like we've seen Russell Wilson be for so much of his career. So that's kind of interesting too, right? So that's where I like the matchup. And I feel like the Broncos are a little bit, and Sean Payton especially, are a little bit like, man, things aren't going good. I opened my damn mouth before the year, whether it was supposed to be on the record or not. And he's trying to save face and get something going here for the future of his organization and the job he took here. So that's where I think I have some intrigue, in the matchup. And like you said, the Kelce injury throws a wrinkle into this. We know the Broncos defense ain't good, right, Mike? But damn, the offense ain't that easy for the Chiefs this year. It's work if you really look at it. And if they don't have Kelce, it's going to be more work. No big plays to speak of. So I think that's where I kind of look at the game to go, I could see the Broncos giving their best effort here and making this interesting for a while just because of all the things I, stated prior to that.
While we're still talking about the Travis Kelce injury, let's hear a little from quarterback Patrick Mahomes with his thoughts on the ankle sprain that could keep Kelce out tonight.
It's tough, man. That's a legendary type game. To be able to battle through that. Obviously, I didn't see the injury live, so I didn't know how bad it was. But I'm looking back on it now and seeing how the ankle rolled and then being able to come back out there and play at a high level and score a touchdown that we needed to win the game. It speaks to not only the talent that he has, but the toughness that he has, and that the reason that he's been out there week in and week out, because he'll battle through anything to go out there and play.
And, that's the bottom line. And when he came back and played after this awkward moment where his foot kind of got caught in that U.S. Bank Stadium artificial turf, it made you think maybe he's done for the day, maybe he's going to miss some time. He did come back, but short week, that's the key. And that's one of those injuries that we talk about all the time where when you roll out of bed the next day, it may feel a lot differently than it did when the adrenaline was flowing. And when you got it loose and taped it up and kept going, you can see the tape on that right foot. They spatted that right foot up so he could get through the game. You get that tape off, the inflammation sets in, you sleep on it, you wake up the next day, and you're like, uh-oh, I might have a problem here. And what they have to tell us in the injury report isn't all that extensive, so we really don't know how swollen it is. We don't know how he's walking around. We don't know what kind of limitations he has. They're going to keep that close to the vest because they can. It's one of the examples of the inside information that is very pervasive in the NFL. Somebody out there knows right now whether or not he's playing tonight. We'll find out at some point this afternoon whether or not Kelce is playing tonight. So, you're right. The offense without him, it really isn't all that impressive. Kadarius Toney, the guy that they were trying to will into being the number one receiver in place of Tyreek Hill, he's been targeted 19 times this year in 5 games. 19 times. He's caught 14. I assume the other 5 were drops. I mean, I just assume that, and it's not like we're taking a shot. I think at least 4 of them were drops in week 1.
Exactly.
83 total yards on 19 targets. Average per catch is only 5.9 yards for a guy that is regarded as a potential deep threat, a guy that could be their next Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
It's just not happening the way that they had hoped. A year or so after the trade, it's really not happening.
No, you're spot on, and that to me is when you look at them and evaluate them and watch them on tape is something that's missing from their football team. We talked about it a little last year, but last year, I think they had a McCole Hardman. They had a Juju Smith-Schuster, who, of course, were, guys have been around. McCole Hardman had some juice before he got injured late in the year and, could run and scare a defense, right? Juju Smith-Schuster, a veteran guy, dependable, knows, almost like a Kelce, knows how to work coverage, work the underneath routes, got some size to him. So they're missing those guys, let alone we know last year was the first year without Tyreek. But this year seems like even more of a struggle. It does. And when you break it down really and look at them, you talk about Kadarius Toney. I mean, the leading receiver on their team is a rookie in Rashee Rice with 17 receptions and 173 yards, with Justin Watson being the leader in receiving yards with 219 yards, right? And that to me is the thing that we got to continue to watch with Kansas City. Right now, they're pretty reliant on the Magic Man back there. It's Patrick Mahomes. And now they got a good football team. We know that. It's different than what we've seen from the Chiefs in the past. It is a lot of longer drives. Big plays are not coming about too often. They can run the ball, though. That's something we haven't seen. And their defense is legit. There's no doubt. It's one of the better defenses in all of football. And they're kind of playing that way. And Mahomes has done a great job of taking care of the ball for the most part and kind of being surgical.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.